No one expected a man like him to freeze at a checkout counter. A billionaire. A business legend. A man who owned more cars than the store had shopping carts. Yet there he stood, trembling, staring at the screen as the cashier whispered the words he had probably never heard in decades. "Sir, your card is declined." People around him snickered. Phones slowly lifted to record. But before the embarrassment could crush him, before the whispers could turn into laughter, a tiny voice from behind whispered something no one could believe. And what that poor little girl did next would change his entire life forever. Before we dive into this powerful true-to-life story, make sure to subscribe to True Story Tales, where we share heart-touching stories that remind us of the kindness still left in this world. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. It helps us bring more inspiring stories just like this one. It happened on a cloudy Tuesday afternoon at a small neighborhood grocery store. Nothing fancy, just the kind of place people visit when they want real food and real conversations. The billionaire, Thomas Hale, had gone there alone, wearing simple clothes and no security guards. He wanted a quiet day, away from the deals, the meetings, and the noise. Thomas wasn't the kind of billionaire who flaunted his wealth. He rarely took photos, rarely did interviews, and never used his fame to get special treatment. But he also wasn't used to being vulnerable. And that day, life decided to remind him that everyone, no matter how rich or powerful, is human. He carried only a few items, some fresh bread, a carton of milk, and a pack of cookies he planned to donate to a children's shelter later that evening. Simple things. Nothing extravagant. The line was short, and when it was his turn, he gave the cashier his black titanium card, the kind only the wealthy ever hold. He typed in his PIN, expecting the usual beep of approval. But instead, a sharp red message blinked across the screen. Transaction declined. The cashier looked confused. She tried again. Declined. And again. Declined. Thomas felt his face grow hot. He had more money than he could ever spend, yet something was wrong. Maybe his bank flagged the purchase. Maybe the system was down. Whatever it was, he suddenly felt stripped of everything he thought protected him from moments like this. People behind him began whispering. Is that the Hale guy? No way, his card declined? Rich people pretending to be broke, huh? Thomas swallowed, trying to stay calm, but his hands shook slightly. He told the cashier he could try another card, but when he reached for his wallet, it wasn't there. He had left it in the car. He looked at the cashier helplessly. I'll just come back. I'm sorry. But the man behind him scoffed loudly, rolling his eyes as if Thomas had just wasted everyone's time. Another person laughed under their breath. A teenager lifted his phone, quietly recording the moment. Thomas felt smaller than he ever had in his life. And then, a tug at his sleeve. He turned around and saw a little girl. Maybe 7 or 8. Her clothes were worn. Her shoes had holes at the toes. Her hair looked like it had been brushed by the wind, not a comb. She stood next to a shopping basket that held only 2 things, a can of soup and a single apple. The kind of basket no child should have to carry alone. She looked up at him with the softest, bravest smile. I can pay for your food, she said quietly. Thomas blinked, stunned. He had been offered help by investors, bankers, CEOs, but never, in his entire life, had he been offered help by a child who could barely afford her own meal. No, sweetheart, he whispered. I can't let you do that. But she shook her head confidently. My grandma says, she replied, that when someone needs help, you help. Even if you just have a little. Her voice was so gentle it softened the entire store. People watching lowered their phones. Their judgment faded into shame. Before Thomas could protest again, she reached into the tiny pocket of her faded jeans and pulled out a handful of coins, quarters, dimes, pennies, her whole savings, held tightly in her small hand. She placed them gently on the counter. For him, she said. The cashier's eyes watered. She didn't know what to say. Thomas didn't either. He knelt down so he was eye level with the little girl. "Why would you do this for me?" he asked softly. She shrugged. "Because you look sad. And my grandma says the world gets better when we help sad people smile again." Thomas felt something crack open inside his chest, something he didn't know had hardened over the years. He had built empires, signed billion-dollar deals, and influenced entire industries. But he had forgotten what simple, pure kindness looked like. And here it was, in the hands of a little girl who had almost nothing. The cashier cleared her throat. "It's enough," she said. "Actually, it's more than enough." A small lie. Everyone knew the coins didn't fully cover the bill. But in that moment, the universe itself seemed to bend to honor the girl's heart. The people who had laughed earlier suddenly stepped forward, embarrassed. "I'll cover the rest," one woman said. "Add a pack of snacks for her too," another offered. The atmosphere changed completely. The store, once filled with judgment, was now filled with generosity. Thomas gently placed his hand over the girl's. "Thank you," he whispered. "But I'd like to know your name." "Lily," she smiled shyly. "My mom is working, so I walked here. We only needed a little food for tonight." Her words hit him harder than any business failure ever had. She needed food. Not wanted. Needed. Thomas stood up and addressed the people around him. "Thank you," he said. "All of you. But especially her." He pointed to Lily. "She reminded me of something I lost a long time ago." He then turned back to the cashier. "I'll be right back. Please don't let her leave." He went outside, retrieved his wallet, and hurried back. But instead of simply paying for his own groceries, he walked down the aisles and filled 2 entire carts with food, school supplies, warm blankets, and treats. When he returned to Lily, she stared in confusion. "Is all that yours?" she asked. "No," he said, kneeling again. "It's yours. For you and your family." Her eyes widened. But I only gave you coins." Thomas smiled gently. "And they were worth more than every dollar I've ever made." The cashier wasn't the only one crying now. Lily covered her mouth, trying not to sob. And Thomas pulled her into a gentle hug. When Lily's mother arrived rushing, worried, she froze when she saw the mountain of groceries. "I think there's been a mistake," she said breathlessly. Thomas shook his head. "No mistake. Your daughter reminded me what real wealth is. She gave when she had so little. So now, I'd like to give something back." Lily's mother's eyes filled with tears. She tried to refuse, but Thomas insisted. He arranged for a monthly grocery delivery to their home. He paid off her medical bills. He set aside a college fund in Lily's name. And he never publicized a single act of it. Because kindness isn't kindness when it's for show. It's kindness when it comes from the heart. As they were leaving, Lily tugged on his sleeve one last time. "Did I really help you smile?" she asked softly. Thomas nodded. "You didn't just help me smile," he said. "You helped me remember what being human means." She giggled and hugged him again. "Then my grandma was right. Some lessons don't come from books. Some wisdom doesn't come from age. Sometimes, the greatest teachers are small voices with big hearts." Thomas Hale walked into that grocery store a billionaire, wealthy, powerful, respected. But he walked out reminded that the richest people in the world are the ones who give, even when they have so little. Lily didn't save him with money. She saved him with kindness. And that single act changed not only his day, but his entire life. Let this story remind us all. Kindness doesn't require wealth, just a willing heart. And sometimes, the smallest hands make the biggest difference. Spread kindness whenever you can. You never know who might be saved by it.